Welcome in everybody, live heat ratio. We're back, third week in a row, getting back on schedule. Got a lot of stuff to talk about. I'm your host, Tony Jason Patillo, joined by my co-host, Mr. Mikey Goobs, number one Philly
Hello.
support. Mike, what's up, buddy? How you doing?
Good, good. How are you? How are you?
No, can't complain. I got some issues we'll talk about tonight. Had a couple, like my normal stories that I got. I got some Wawa diaries tonight. Really,
Interesting.
really starting to bother me a little bit.
Another event in the in Wawa or with ice or with some
Yeah.
sort of fast food issue.
Yeah,
Talk to me.
no ice talk tonight. No ice talk tonight.
Okay,
But we
okay,
are talking about ice. We are going to get into some Jay Z talk later because, like
that
I
works.
said, we rebrand this show a little sports and music. We're talking a little Jay Z top five because to me, we'll get into this, but for me, Jay Z the goat. I know other people may think otherwise, but for me, he is the goat. But we'll talk about that. We'll talk about some Eagles report today. See what our first thoughts are. Uh,
Okay.
talk about some Phillies. We got a special guest tonight coming on pretty soon. Chris Sack from Baseball Brunch on Fox Sports The Gambler, Green Legion Radio. Dude's dialed in. Talk about some trade deadline talks, maybe. See should the Phillies go all in? Should they not? And another thing, Mike, that I want to talk to him about is I was at a baseball game, and I feel like that the Bryce Harper and JT Realmuto's like the luster has just gone away. It's just gone away. Like all that, oh yeah, Bryce, we got I feel like he walks up to the plate and people are just like, yeah, okay. It's
The
Bryce Harper.
bromance is over
Yeah, I think the
between them two,
bromance is
or
over.
just the shine of the Bryce Hart. Yeah, well, I see it. It's not the way it used to be. That's for sure. It's not.
No, not at all. David checking in. Hello, what's up, Dave? How you
What's up,
doing,
David?
buddy? And speaking of which, I see the basketball shirt on. So another thing, I'll tell you what, if that trade, I don't know if you've seen it, Mike, but if that trade was legit for Ben Simmons to Toronto, I'll
Is
tell
it?
you right now, I would have drove to the link. I would have taken the Nick Foles statue down and put a statue of Mr. Daryl Morey up there because he'd have been a
Whoa,
legend, bro. He'd have
whoa,
been
whoa, whoa! You can't touch the full statue. You know that. That's off
yeah.
limits.
Look at my man Gene talking about tickets in right field, so called sport left. Speaking of right, listen, you're right. Maybe they like to be bowed down to G because he does come out with that
Nice.
ceremonious bow, right? And I dig that. But I just was like, a few years ago, it
Yeah.
was all about, oh my God, dude, we signed Bryce Harper. We are, and now I feel like I go to the games, it's like, that's just Bryce. Like he's just a normal guy now. Like it kind of wore off. So really interesting feeling I got going to a few games.
Always happens.
Yeah,
With any big free agent signing, it's always going to be the same thing.
yeah,
Especially if they don't. I mean, I don't know what the expectations were when they signed him to the biggest contract in MLB history, but it was pretty heavy coming in Philadelphia, right? I mean, at that point,
definitely.
one of the biggest, so super heavy expectations. But you're right. Now he's just, and I feel like maybe that's part of his image and his persona. Like, what about like when in spring training when he just rolled up to the gas station, he just had his uniform on, he just filled up his Jeep. I mean, it's kind of like you just say, yeah, it's Bryce. He's just one of the guys. You don't really, for whatever reason, he doesn't carry that ultimate superstar type of persona about him. So maybe it's a little bit of that. His numbers aren't that bad, but maybe it's just because the Phillies pitching and everything they've been through this year. I wonder if you'd feel the same way about him if we were just dominating and crushing everybody.
Could be right. Could be right.
Maybe,
And Gene
maybe.
Gene checks in and says, I think the Phillies fans are just really frustrated with how many games we've blown. There are more fun. I'll tell you, Gene, I'm with you. 23 games, I think we're up to blown after the eighth inning. Ridiculous. 3.5 games out. We'd probably be 5.5 games up if we had a legitimate closer or a legitimate bullpen. Adam checking in. What's up? Dan saying maybe an all-star game or two.
Yeah,
But you know what?
maybe,
I hear you.
maybe.
I hear you. I hear you. But speaking of Phillies, we're going to be joined in a couple minutes. I'm going to bring them in. And our boy Chris Sack, we're going to talk about these. Do they make a deal? Do they go all in? Are they good enough? And that's like you saying to myself, are they good enough? Because I look at a Mets team that is reeling. I look at a Mets team that may not be as good as people think they are, even though they do trade for Rich Hill. And listen, you say what you want about Rich Hill. He probably had the second best ERA on his team if we had him, right? Gene says, please God, no. But we'll see. And let's bring him right in, man. We're going to be joined right now, my man Chris Sack from not only Baseball Bronx with Greg Murphy, which is a fantastic show, Fox Sports Gambler every Sunday in the morning, 10 a.m. And then he's also Green Legion Radio. Okay, as always. And he does a hockey show with Mr. Mike Diaz, which I don't even know how you do that, Chris. But Chris, my man, what's up, man? How you doing?
Jigsaw, it's a pleasure joining you guys here tonight. And listen, doing a hockey show with Diaz, I'd rather slam my head against the wall repeatedly than deal with him and listen to his Ben Simmons apologies. But nonetheless, I digress.
You know, I don't know
how you do it. That's all I got to tell you. I don't know how you do it. You are much better than I am, Chris, because I dealt with it for years, and you're dealing with it now. Thank God, because sometimes I just can't take it.
Sometimes, yeah, it's all the time. I mean, Jesus God, it's so funny because he's that little brother. He's the contrarian at all times. He's older than me. He's much older than me. Let's just state facts with facts there. He's much older than me. He still has a head of hair, but wait until his daughter starts to grow and gets older. He'll lose it just as fast as I have over the last couple of years with my son. So yeah, man, dealing with Diaz is a trip. You never know what he's going to say, but hey, we love him. For richer or poorer, for better or worse, we have to deal with him.
Yeah, you're right. We do. I love him. I call him Skittles. That's why, because he's always happy, Mister. The trust the process. The Sixers are the best. And you know what? Before we get into Phillies talk, and I promise, I told Chris I was going to stick to a deadline. My man's going to hop on a flight really soon. Nice. I don't want to get the wife mad at me, right?
I think. Actually, you got me for a little bit longer because it looks like the flight's being delayed to tomorrow night. So.
Oh no, man!
Oh, where were you? Where were you going? I hope let's put it this way. I hope it's a nice place.
Yes, it's a fantastic place, but unfortunately I think I'm being delayed. So it's all good. I have a little bit more time than I thought I had on my hands. So it's no worries from my part.
Well, here's the thing. Let me ask you this then. So before we get to the Phillies, because I'm not a Flyers guy. Okay. I like hockey. I grew up on hockey, but oddly I don't follow it. But one of my best friends is a huge hockey guy. And I was having a conversation with him this weekend. And he was absolutely in love with everything Chuck Fletcher has done and told me on Saturday, yo, they're not done yet. And today they made another signing. So in your opinion, what do you think? Did they give up too much with one of the guys, the defenseman that they got? Did they get better? I mean, it sounds like they had to change the culture a little bit. And it sounds like maybe these were the right moves to make. Were they?
Well, I like the fact that all the guys have previous experience were in the A. I believe Yandel wore the C at one point, but these guys all have leadership experience. It's part about mixing up that leadership council that they have on the team. I know Diaz was giving me a hard time earlier because Giroux was on Sam Kachardi the other day, who said that he will still wear the C, and Giroux kind of gave him a little bit of a playful jab on Twitter. I look nothing into that. I know Giroux's had a good rapport and relationship with the Philadelphia media over the years, so I don't read too much into that. But I will say this. The moves that Chuck Fletcher has made have been moves. At least he's made moves. He's done some things to try and shake things up. Jake Voracek, listen, I appreciate what he's done. Top 5 in assists here, top 10 in points career. He's had a hell of a run here in Philadelphia. Unfortunately, the Flyers have not been able to build around Giroux and Simmons and Voracek over the years enough to where they can sustain it and actually make a decent playoff run together. But Chuck Fletcher, listen, the one move that I think majority of the fan base is a little bit, questioning is the Risto one with Buffalo, because we gave up a first-round pick in order to make that move for him. Especially for a guy that has 1 year left on his contract. So 26 years old, former first round pick. Maybe they see something in him. I know he's big on hits. He's not great in the metrics area. I'm not a metric guy, but apparently not a lot of guys are high on him as far as metrics are concerned. But for love of God, the guy's played for Buffalo for 8 years. So I'd like to think that things could improve here in Philadelphia. But nonetheless, though, they've gotten tougher with him being back there on the blue line. He's going to lay the wood. And he has some history with Sidney Crosby and the Pittsburgh Penguins. I think that's going to ramp it up a little bit further. And last year, it was just too easy to play against the Flyers. Too easy. Way too many games got out of control with goals scored against us. Risto is a type of guy, man. He's going to lay the wood, and he's going to knock people out in front of that net. I can have respect for that.
I like it, man. And you're emulating everything, or I'd say echoing everything my buddy said, especially about the A on their chest. I mean, that's huge. Leadership is one of the biggest important parts of a hockey team, and it's nice that they just didn't lay flat, stand, just say, you know what, we're just going to keep going and going and going. And it's funny because it's almost like with the Phillies, this segues back because. Unfortunately, I got to look at the San Francisco Giants being in first place and with Gabe Kapler, whatever.
Don't do this to me. Don't do this to me.
No.
Come on, man. I don't want to deal with this right now. I thought we were talking Phillies. Let's not talk Gabe. All right, let's not do it.
Well, here's the problem, though, Chris. The problem is this is the same team almost. And if that's the case, if Joe Girardi can't win with his team, well, then we need to shake things up on his team then. So I'm going to get right into it. Big trade deadline coming up. I know Dombrowski's made tons of moves earlier in his career. He's not afraid to trade away talent in the farm system. The problem, though, we don't have any talent in the farm system to trade away. But do you think they're 3.5 games behind the Mets? I mean, I should say two-part question. Number one, do you think there is a move to make to take us over the top? And number two, does it even matter? Because even if we do win the NL East, with the pitching staff that we have right now, how far can we really get?
Well, I heard you before you brought me into the room about going all in. Listen, go all in to me is pushing the chips in the middle of the table and trying to win a World Series. Okay. Going all in is not trying to win the NL East. Okay. It's just not that. Now, listen, the Phillies can make the playoffs with the current roster the way it is if they add another starting pitcher. I know they added Tyler Anderson today. He's a lefty innings eater, a guy that has 18 for 18 this year with throwing 5+ innings, which is a hell of a lot more than what they're getting out of Matt Moore, who right now is getting jacked around. And Vince Velasquez, who's been a world beater against the Marlins and being beaten by the world by everybody else. And then Spencer Howard, this guy last night, like we were joking. I was at the game last night with my wife and my oldest son, Jacob. And we were joking around with the fans around us when Spencer Howard got that hit. He's going to be gassed. He's going to be gassed. He's going to be gassed because, he gets tired running down to first base. My man made it to third base, and the next inning, he magically has a callus. He's the type of guy, he's like a bowler. Like, you have that buddy who's really good at bowling, and, nothing is hurting on this guy, man. Everything looks great. He's strike, spare, strike, spare, and then he throws one in the gutter, and magically his wrist hurts. That's Spencer Howard, all right? Like, this guy magically has a callus on his finger when he's getting smoked last night and he gets taken out of the game. But guess what? It's okay. He'll make his next start. That makes me feel a hell of a lot better.
I love it, man. It's so true. I'm a bowler, Chris. So that's why I'm laughing, because I'm a bowler and Mike knows, and John's not here tonight, but I always bring up the name, Pete Weber, who's one of my all-time faves. So, it's funny. And John always says, Pete Weber. I don't watch bowling, but you
PB Dub, man.
What's that?
PB Dub.
Absolutely, man. I love it. But, here's the thing with the Phillies. And Mike, I'll start with you because I think we kind of touched on this before. And I bring back to Joe Girardi. And here's my thing about Girardi. Is he a different? Because he seems to be more worried about analytics now than I really thought that he would have. I thought he was an old school type kind of manager. I didn't think he was going to play into analytics a lot. I thought he was going to give it a little bit, but I thought, we're finally going to get away from that. It seems like he's bought all into it. Is it just that he's always had good teams to manage, and maybe we just didn't watch him enough, or is he just a changed man? I mean, is he giving you what you expected when you heard Gabe's out, Joe's in?
Now, was that for Mike? That question is for Mike first. Go ahead.
I'll take a stab at this one. Again, this is just my opinion. So giving you the irrational Philadelphia fan thought, right? So it looks like, and again, who knows, but it looks like he's taking direction, from the upstairs office, as Doug Peterson would say, right? You got to talk to the analytics guys. Because he clearly looks like a different manager, when he was in New York and from where he is now. And I mean, even in the beginning of the season, how many games did he wind up costing? He cost us a lot of games. And you're looking at him, you're scratching your head since some of the decisions that he's made. A lot of those losses could be attributed directly to him. So it certainly doesn't look like he's the same guy. So if he's not the same guy, then maybe he's on a little bit of a shorter leash, and maybe he is being told what to do. Maybe he has bought in analytics, and maybe it's just not that. Maybe it's a bit of both. I don't know. I question a lot of his decision making. He doesn't look like he's the same manager from New York.
I agree. Chris, what do you got on Joe, man? What do you think?
Listen, I want to harp on Joe. I think a lot of people in my point of view, from my point of view here, okay, about Joe Girardi, last year's a mulligan, right? I mean, you go into spring training, everything's looking good, everything's looking right, and then all of a sudden COVID hits, world shuts down. Then we ramp up for the season. We have a 3-game series against the Marlins, and then you shut down for a whole week.
Agreed.
Then you pretty much have to play 7 games worth of schedules and double headers the rest of the season. And you're doing it with the worst bullpen of all time outside of the 1930 Phillies.
Probably.
I mean, so a lot of people want to sit here and go, well, his record is this since he's been here. Like last year was tough for everybody. I mean, it's not just, it's a 60-game season. You're used to playing 162. And, down the stretch, all they really need to do is win one more game. And to me, I'm not going to put that on him. Aaron Nola and Zach Wheeler. Zach Wheeler couldn't zip up his pants correctly and tore a nail, which cost us in the long run. And Aaron Nola, his last 3 starts, I think they went winless in the last 8 starts combined between Eflin, Nola, and Wheeler, and they missed the playoffs by 1 game. And then everybody wants to sit here and go, well, we would have broke our streak if we would have made the playoffs last year. No. That's Fugazi. That's Fugazi. Okay, 8 teams in the National League made the playoffs last year. Okay, that's great, awesome. The Marlins broke their streak that was 17 years and making the playoffs. Like I don't look at that as breaking the 10-year drought. Like right now, the way things are, the way baseball is, 5 teams make the playoffs. This is the year to get in. Now, Girardi has made some questionable decisions, and I think he's resting players way too much. McCutchen, JT Realmuto, we got to stop playing these matchups. Like these guys need to play every day, and now it's time to do it every single day. And then the one game that really sticks out with me, that sticks in my crawl with Girardi, was the David Hale game against the Nationals, where he brought him in with the bases loaded. What the hell did you think was going to happen? I mean, everybody on God's green earth knew what was going to happen. I was driving my car on the way home and screaming at the radio, "Why are you doing this?" But I'll tell you, man, to me, Girardi's going to be back one way or another after this season. I think Dombrowski is going to do what he needs to do. I don't think he's going to make the big splash, the big move. Even if he makes the move for Craig Kimbrell, you're not giving up top-notch prospects to bring Kimbrell in here. You're eating more money, so you're giving up maybe B-level prospects. But the Phillies need to sit here and be realistic. Their best players are all in the prime of their careers right now. You have these kids that you're going to be grooming to come up through the system at some point. The Mick Abels, the Andrew Painters, the Johan Rojas's, the Bryson Stotts. You can't afford to trade these guys. You just can't. You need to be able to prepare for the future just as much as you're preparing for now. They need to go out and do the simple things like they did today. Tyler Anderson, you need another starter like this guy that's going to eat innings and save you from your bullpen, save you from yourself. And, but those type of pitchers are going to keep you in games and allow the offense time to get going during the course of games where they're going to put up runs later in the games once they get to the middle relief pitching of the other team. I just, if you guys are sinking here or expecting a big move, it's not going to happen. Chris Bryant's not going to be here. Chris Bryant's going to wind up going someplace else. Max Scherzer's going to wind up going someplace else. You can't tell me the Red Sox aren't salivating over the fact that they might be able to get a Max Scherzer. I read a report today that the Dodgers, the Giants, and the Padres are all at the top of his wish list. So really, do you honestly think that we have a shot when we get to the playoffs? And if you do get to the playoffs, okay, right now, it's currently constructed. If we overtook the Mets and everything else stays status quo, you got to deal with the Milwaukee Brewers and that 3-headed monster in the rotation in a 5-game series. Good luck with that.
Yeah, that's well said.
Yeah.
Is the Anderson deal even done?
It's done.
It is finalized?
Yeah, it's done. He was scratched from the start with the Pirates tonight, and as you can see, the Brewers are smoking them 8-0. I think they had to go with a bullpen game, but this guy needs to come in here, and I don't care who the hell it's for. I wish he could have got here fast enough to where he could have took over Matt Moore's spot tonight. But if he slots in and he takes the next Vince Velasquez start, looks like Eflin's going to miss another turn in his rotation. So we're not going to have him for his next start, but we're hoping to have him back next week. So we'll see how things go. But man, they need to get healthy and they need to get right. And Aaron Nola needs to continue doing what he did the other day, because that's part of the consistency that we're going to need moving forward.
Oh, we're definitely going to need that. And it's funny, I'm going to, again, because everybody knows I'm a little crazy sometimes.
He's a mess.
Yeah.
He's a mess. He's a mess. I'm sorry.
but I can't.
Listen, it's okay. Listen, I say it all the time on Baseball Brunch. Okay, now Greg Murphy, my co-host Murph, he is a Phillies broadcaster. Okay, so he does the pre and post game for them on the weekends. He stood in for play-by-play for Fransky about a couple weeks ago. So like my man has to be the Phillies head, the spokesman, for the team. He has to be the apologist. I have to take things negatively and have to spin it that way. So it feels like every time we want to kiss Aaron Nola's ass, that's when he goes into his rut. And then when I roast him, so I'm just going to do it the rest of the season, every Sunday from 11 to 12 on Fox Sports The Gamble. I'm just going to tear him apart.
It sounds like he's the Dave Spadaro of the Phillies.
Well, yeah. No, he's definitely not worse than Dave. And speaking of Dave, Dave's going to be on Green Legion Radio this upcoming Thursday night from 7 to 9. So,
oh man, wait, we got Spadaro and Diaz on a show together.
Oh no, listen, that's not even the best part about it. It's Spadaro versus Tank. When those two are in the same room, it gets heated. And it's funny because we all our producer / he has to cut everything up for our time slot on Saturdays from 1 to 3. So all of us are cognizant of it now. All right, there's certain curse words we can't say. We can't do this. If we do, then he writes it down. He marks it down for, him to add the beat to it. Dude, Spadaro is off the Richter with everything. You'd think he'd be the most professional person in the room. He drops at least 2 or 3 S-bombs every single time.
He's so nice. He never says anything bad. He's just nice. He is always sugarcoating everything. He's so optimistic. I cannot see him being like that.
Why do you think he's held a job for 35 years with the Eagles? I mean,
definitely a positive dude.
There's a reason why he's still there. So, you have to know what certain questions you can ask him and what questions you can't, because you're just not going to get lip service. You're not going to get anything that you're looking for if you ask him in the well.
Wait, who's worse, Spadaro or Don Tollison? Remember, Tolly was. I mean,
come on,
it's not even close.
No, you can't do that.
Yeah, man.
Tolly.
All jail charges aside, just as right.
It's got nothing to do with it.
Okay, I'm just saying. Just specifically.
Listen, if you want Super Bowl tickets, Don Tollison's going to hook you up for next season.
That's for sure. Yeah, as many as you want to. Just pay in advance. All right, 95% in advance, and you're good.
Venmo, Tolly. You're in. Tolly won. You're in.
Man, fat. I love it. What's up, Trevor?
Trevor, what's up, brother? Yeah, let me ask though, Chris, because again, I said stuff. I'm a little crazy sometimes, and a couple weeks ago, I was thinking when the Phillies were kind of like, you know what? I don't know what they are, right? And they have the same team. They have really nobody that's blowing the world up in a farm system. If the right trade came your way, would you trade Aaron Nola? And the only reason why I say that is because he's very cost-friendly. And I think a premium position is pitching, obviously. And I think he could command a really big haul. And if this is a team that isn't going to show any more life, and it's going to be the same team it's been over the last 2 years, is this a chance right now to rebuild your farm system by trading a guy? If you don't think, listen, even if we make the playoffs, like you said, we go up against Milwaukee, what's going to be the difference? It's going to be 3 and done. We're out. See you next year. So, and if he can't be consistent, is this time to kind of put him up there, dangle him a little bit, and see what you get? Would you trade Aaron Nola? Would you get that crazy?
Well, first things first, let me say this about making the playoffs and being swept by the Brewers. Sometimes you can't put a price on actually making the playoffs and getting in there and having the experience collectively as a group. Remember, in 2007, the Phillies made the playoffs for the first time in 14 years, and they were swept out pretty quickly by the Rockies, and that set a fire under them for the following season. Now, that's a different group of guys. That's a bunch of guys that finished second place for a number of years. They failed together, and then eventually they won together. This team is a different thing. I say it all the time. They're a bunch of mercenaries. They came from every which way, and that's the reason why the love for this team isn't what it used to be for those teams that failed in 04, 05, 06 before they got over the hump in 07. So that I'll start there with that. You can't put a price on having the experience in the postseason with being together. Second, about Aaron Nola. Listen, Dombrowski's not going to trade anybody. It's not going to happen unless they go into a little bit of a tailspin here and then the Mets wind up going on a winning streak. The good thing about tonight is as much as we're losing, so are the Mets. The Mets are down 6-1 right now to the Braves. So, listen, you really have to hit a tailspin, and the Mets have to get hot between now and Saturday before you even think about trading anybody. Now, trading Aaron Nola, it's like you said, he's cost efficient. He's a guy that, doesn't come with a heavy price tag, but I don't think right now he's at his peak value. I don't want to say you're selling pennies on the dollar because it's not like trying to sell Ben Simmons or, that's pennies on the dollar in my opinion, but it's more like quarters on the dollar, so like, as great as you think Aaron Nola can be, I'd rather take the risk on letting him go through the rest of the season. Maybe for once he can, because Aaron Nola's career statistics in September and October combined are the worst of any month in his career. The worst of any month. The closest it comes is June. So if he can get over the hump these last couple months here and reestablish himself, and I'm not saying I'm expecting him to be 2018 Aaron Nola ever again, but if he can get back to that same level in the offseason, a team that wound up failing in the playoffs might be looking to make a bigger deal for him in the offseason. If that's a move that you choose to make. And then at that point, it gives you enough time to where, hey, all right, we can fill this spot in with somebody else. I don't see the move happening between now and Saturday. It's just not going to happen. I think any deal, I'm up for anything. I said it a few weeks ago before that road trip through Chicago and Boston right before the All-Star break. I was at the time, I was like, man, if you can get rid of these guys and bring in and restock the farm system, but they're going to make a run for it, man. They're going to try and win this division.
I like it.
It's funny how everybody, I don't want to say everybody, but it's just like the trade talks start up so well. As soon as we get a little bit of a crack in something that maybe we considered amazing last year, as soon as that little crack comes, everybody starts testing the trade market. And I'm not saying that's you, Tony, directly, because I'm the first one to say, get rid of that bum. You know me, okay? There's no logic behind anything I say. We've already established that. So I just feel like I need to discuss. That has to be like a weekly disclaimer. But that's usually something that I would do. Go right to the trade stack. What's his value? And it's amazing because, you hear that all the time. It's like, okay, well, if you're thinking trade because you think his value's crap, but you want to grab this great player in return, what do you think other teams are thinking? So yeah, his value is probably not low. It's probably it has a lot of potential, but I don't think he's the guy you give up on now. And I agree with Ben Simmons. That's a whole nother conversation. His value couldn't be lower.
Well, yeah, listen, and we're going to touch on that a little bit because I just, I'm telling you, it boggles my mind, number one, if that rumor was even true with the Toronto deal. And if it was, if people were even out there saying that wasn't enough, or you out of your mind, I like show me where I could bring them and drop them off to right now. Okay. But that's for another day. I'm going to calm down on the Ben Simmons talk.
At least the Canadian border is reopened, right? So, yeah. I mean, you could drive him to Toronto now if you really wanted to. Just make sure you stop real quick at Niagara Falls and enjoy the scenery, and then you can continue on through.
I'm telling you, that Daryl Morey would have been a legend, and that's all I'm going to say. He would have been a legend. So Chris, I don't know if you heard us, before you came on. I'm not sure if you were backstage or not yet, but I was talking to Mike about, and I remember. Listen, when we signed Bryce Harper, it was the best thing in the world. I was all about it, man. I wanted nothing to do with Manny Machado. I wanted Bryce Harper. It's almost the equivalent of Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons. Joel is Philly and Ben is LA. Same thing with Manny. Manny's San Diego and Bryce is Philly. I always thought that's a perfect fit. But I feel like, and then when we go out and trade for JT Realmuto, the best catcher in baseball, it's like, oh my God, finally. But, this was the first year because we talked about COVID. This was the first time in 16, 17 months. And I went to 3 games in the past week and I was loving it. Weather was nice, a little hot, all in all. But I noticed that they really don't have an effect as much as they used to. Now granted, we're not talking about 35,000 fans here. We're talking about probably 8,000 on weeknights and maybe 12 to 20 on the weekends. But still, I feel like the luster, of both of those guys just kind of went away. And I don't know if it's because the team has been lackluster itself. If it's just because we're taking them for granted, I'm not sure. I know you were at a game yesterday. I know you're going to other games. Do you feel the same way? Am I reading too much into it? Or do you think maybe we're just like, you know what? It is what it is. We're over it by now. What do you think?
Listen, the team has disappointed how many years in a row, and particularly down the stretch. Sometimes you have to make the fan base believe in you as a player and as a team. I mean, like, everybody wants to sit there and look back at those golden years. Oh, man, we were selling out the ballpark left and right. No, we weren't. Like, we sold out the ballpark after we won the World Series. 09, 10, 11, 12. Up until the end of the 12 season, That's how long the sellout streak went. 2008, they weren't selling out the ballpark every single night. Now they're drawing way more than what this team is drawing right now. But 06 and 07, man, like, once you got towards the end of 07 and the Mets started collapsing, that's where things started to ramp up as far as the fan base was concerned. Sometimes you have to make the fans believe in you and what you have out there on the field. This team is disappointed way too much. Do you know that they haven't had a 7-game winning streak since September of 2012? Like,
wow.
This whole season, they have been at 500. They have been at the 500 mark 19 different times this season. They have been no more than 4 games above 500 and no less than 4 games below 500. Like, that's not going to draw people out to the ballpark in droves. You need to hit a nice winning streak. You need to hit a nice, like, I'm telling you, like 6, 7, 8 in a row. That's going to make the fan base believe this. And man, this starting pitching is just god awful too. Like, I mean, like, Zach Wheeler is the guy. You still buy tickets because you want to see Aaron Nola. Hell, I'll even go see Zach Eflin. But last night, they were lucky as hell it was dollar dog night because I didn't want to see Spencer Howard pitch, But like, when you sit there, and I heard what you guys are saying about Bryce Harper, and I saw somebody say something about all-star games. Like, Bryce, since he's been here, I believe is top 10 in OPS in baseball. Like
pretty insane. It's pretty insane, and that's a stat that most people don't talk about. It's pretty crazy.
I mean, I'm disappointed in the lack of home run numbers. I'm disappointed this season in the lack of RBI numbers. Like, okay, but a couple years ago, like, he had a really good second half in 2019, his first year here. He didn't have a good first half, but like, me and Diaz get into this all the time about all-stars. I'm sick and tired of hearing about all-stars. All-stars has nothing to do with the overall course of the season.
Nah, it's window dressing. By the way, he just hit an inside the park home run.
See, there you go. Awesome stuff. Was anybody on base or was it a solo?
It was a solo. It was a solo. It was a pretty amazing play. It's all over Twitter.
Almost hit the double dipper there, man.
Oh man, but I say
as we're ripping him.
No, but I'll say this about him, no, because the All-Star game to me is a congratulations. You had a great first 3 months.
It's window dressing.
That's all it is. And like, I've seen some terrible. Don Brown was a friggin' All-Star. Mitch Trubisky's made
don't
a
say
Pro
that
Bowl.
word. Don't say that name. Dominic Brown, the untouchable Dominic Brown. Remember that? Nobody could be traded. Everybody could be traded except Dominic Brown.
And every team has a representative. God. The Phillies sent Pat Neshek to an All-Star game. Pat Neshek. Okay. Yeah. The friggin' Brewers had a closer that was good for the first 3 months of back-to-back seasons. Derek Turnbull. That guy was an all-star. He's been an all-star twice in his career.
Wow.
Look at his stats at the end of the season. Terrible. Awful. Pathetic. To me, an all-star is a congratulations. What you want to put weight on in baseball in particular, because this is what I like about what the NBA does. The NBA has the first all-NBA team, the second all-NBA team, and the third all-NBA team. That is a reward for the full season, not your all-star appearances. Ben Simmons is a 3-time all-star. Get the hell out of here. Baseball is gold gloves and silver sluggers. If you're getting them at the end of the year, you had a fantastic year. Jimmy Rollins wasn't an all-star in 2007. The guy was the league MVP. Who cares about the all-star? What I want to see out of Bryce is I want to see him for the next 2 months throw this team on his back. That's what I want to see. That's where the money becomes value as far as I'm concerned. He did what he was supposed to do the first season. He played well enough that season over the course of it. Okay. And he sold a lot of tickets, a lot of jersey, a lot of merch. He did his job. He validated that $330 million contract just by the amount of money the Phillies made that season. But this, for me, validation is him throwing this team on his back. And it sucks because the guy was doing that earlier on in the season before he got hit in the face by a 97-mile-per-hour fastball.
That could throw you off a little bit. I think he will too. I think at some point, I just think he's got to kind of get back in this groove. I think that'll happen.
Yeah, he's got to get hot. He's got to get hot. He's like these little nagging injuries, his lower back, his shoulder, foul off his shin. Like, it just seems like everything has kind of just been like, okay, that we're going to have to give him a couple of days off. Like, you couldn't even get him off the field until his wife gave birth to their first child 2 years ago. He missed 3 games. I think he missed 4 or 5 games the whole entire season. It's just like,
it's a pretty weird year too. Everybody, last year, you're 100% right. I mean, yeah, everybody, you're going to get a mulligan, right? For anybody, everybody gets a mulligan, right? But even this year is weird because you're not fully over it. it's still around, man, and it's not over yet.
Trey
And,
Turner tested positive for COVID during the game tonight. They pulled him off the field after Bell hit the home run.
Perfect example. And, it's flaring back up again. So, these guys, I mean, when you really get into the mindset of them, they're still guys or kids. They got families. They got things to worry about. There's a lot of things that are on their mind right now. This is still a weird year.
Well,
he's on a roll. So we got to listen to him because I can't really deny or disagree with anything he said. So he's 100% on point. I mean, how are you really going to deny that? It's hard for me to find fault in any human this year because it's been strange. So look, man. I mean, look at the Bucks. Look at the asterisk. Look at everything that we talked about. Right? Weird year, strange things. Right? So
you guys placed asterisks on these titles too.
We didn't, but we talked about it last week, and that's just a perception of everybody. We don't because we know when we both agreed on this that everything you got to do to get there is always going to have to do with injuries and being lucky and everything else. We all know that. So we're not asterisk guys, but there's just a lot of people that will point to that. They still do that. We typically don't do that. But I will say that this is, in terms of a COVID year, I still think it's an extension of last year. It's just a little bit different. That's all.
No, yeah. I agree. I absolutely agree with you.
Yep.
100%.
No, I agree too. And the last thing I'll say is, and in close, I'll get Chris out of here in a couple minutes. About Bryce Harper is just a message to Philadelphia and to the fans. Listen, we had a guy in Allen Iverson who played here that gave his heart and soul. He left everything on the court. For anybody who questions the effort of Bryce Harper, he is Philadelphia. The guy is running all over the base paths. He's doing whatever he can do. Like you said, Mike, inside the park home run tonight. That's what he does. He goes 110%. So why are we complaining? Why? You just had a guy in Ben Simmons who gave away a dunk in one of the most important games of his career, right? I mean, seriously. So why are we even messing with Bryce Harper? But listen, I get it. I know everybody wants to point the money, but there's intangibles that you have to look at as well. Bryce Harper's got a violent swing. He's got a very violent swing. He's always been a streaky hitter. Okay, we have to know that, right? We have to know that. And again, just like Chris said, I want to see him throw the team on his back as well, and I think he will. Eventually, he will. But listen, there all comes a time when you play so many games, like Chris said, that eventually they catch up to you, and maybe they are right now. But I am not concerned about Bryce Harper's play one bit.
I don't worry about him at all.
I don't care. I don't care about the money. Like, seriously, I don't care. I say it all the time. I spent enough money over all those years to where I paid Ryan Howard's, big contract, his 5-year, $125 million contract. But like, everybody wants to point about, like, just like with Howard, everybody was bitching and moaning about Ryan Howard when he was averaging 140 RBI and 45 home runs every year because he struck out too much. I'm sorry. He was must-watch television every single time he went to the plate. It's just the same as Bryce. Like, Bryce isn't putting up those astronomical numbers that Ryan Howard was, and the team's not having the success that Ryan Howard's teams were. But at any given moment, like an inside the park home run, or he can hit a bomb, like a flat-out 450-foot bomb. That's what you go to the television for and you watch him for. He's still an exciting player. He's 28 years old. He's in his prime. That's why Dombrowski has to just make the subtle moves, not the little like low end moves that it like, but the middle grade moves. If you can take that next step and we can get over the luxury tax threshold, because of that, I'll be happy with what they do down the stretch. As long as they take out the Mets, I don't care whatever else happens.
Yeah, screw the Mets. Bryce Harper's contract and what he got and the money is what the market bared and what his agent was able to get. That's it. I mean, it has nothing to do with anything else. And when people drag money, and I get it, I understand it's frustrating, but you got to understand these guys. When a guy like Bryce Harper gets a contract like that, okay, you think he gives a crap about money? It's hard to imagine, but that's something that's taken care of for him. That guy wants to win, okay, because he can easily run lackluster around the bases and not do what he just did. By the way, wait until you see that play, and he would still collect the same cash. Although he would go out Bobby Abreu style, because even though Abreu was a great player, everybody thought because of the way he carried himself.
Don't ill on my boy Bobby.
Everybody thought because of the way he carried himself that he was a lazy player, and his stats surely proved otherwise. I'm a Bobby guy, but people bashed him here.
Oh yeah, yeah.
They did. Now this is what I'll do. I'll get Chris out of here on this. I want to go into the crystal ball here, and I would just want to look into the sack ball.
Okay.
That sounded really bad.
Yeah, that did sound really
Don't say
bad.
it the other way around.
That was terrible.
I mean, that's my fault for my last name. So
yeah, let's look into the sack master ball. That sounds a little better. I don't know. We'll just say crystal ball.
Crystal
all
ball. Crystal ball.
Right now, it is July 27th. You know, we're 2 days before the trade deadline. Well, actually, yeah, right. 3 days, 2 days, 3 days, something like that.
Saturday. So
yeah.
We got
So this is
3.5
Tuesday,
days
right?
left.
I'm way off.
Close
I'm
enough.
way off as usual. But your feeling, number one, where did the Phillies finish, in your opinion? And number two, if you had a crystal ball going into next year, do they make any big moves in the offseason? Or do you think they still just, they kind of, retool a little bit here and there and keep this core, meaning guys like Rhys Hoskins together?
Well, I look at it like this. If they don't make the playoffs, then there's going to be big moves coming this offseason. Big moves. Dombrowski's not a guy that wants to sit on his hands. He will make the necessary moves to where it improves the ball club for next year. As far as this year is concerned, if this team does not make the playoffs, okay, with the Mets struggling to get DeGrom through this season healthy, and the fact that Francisco Lindor has been batting .220 for most of the season, and he has a grade 2 oblique strain and will probably be out until September. If they can't get through the Mets to win this division, because listen, say what you will about the moves that the Braves have made, bringing in Jock Peterson in place of Ronald Acuna Jr. He's not Ronald Acuna Jr., okay? The Braves, to me, should be out of the thick of things. Now, they're going to stick around just because they still have Freddie Freeman, they still have Ozzie Albies, but the Nationals are out of it. This is a 3-team race right now, and the Phillies, their lineup is completely intact. You have to improve the starting pitching. To me, they're going to make the playoffs. They're going to face the Brewers in the first round. I think that's where the story ends in probably 4 games, but they're going to make the playoffs. And I'm not saying this as a homer because I'm very reluctantly saying this, but I have belief in Dombrowski is going to make some moves over the next couple of days that aren't going to completely separate us from everybody else in this division, but just enough to where we make up the ground and we win this division by 2 games.
I agree. He grabs a couple of pieces and we make a little bit of a push. We wind up in the playoffs. And then, even that at that point, nobody's expecting anything. Hey, you never know what can happen, but nobody's expecting anything. And then they go into the offseason thinking, you know what? It was an improvement from last year. We had a COVID year last year. We showed some good momentum, and maybe they spend the offseason filling in some of the gaps. That's what I see happening.
The only guy Mikey, the only guy on this team that has had a taste. I mean, like, Kutch has had a taste. Yeah. But, Bryce has been in the playoffs.
Oh, yeah.
If you look at the other stars, JT hasn't, Nola hasn't, Hoskins hasn't, Wheeler hasn't. He was on the team that went to the World Series in 2015, but he was hurt that year. So I look at it, man, sometimes the experience is all you need. And who the hell is going to deny a red October and having a couple home games at Citizens Bank Park in October? I mean, like, that place will be rocking regardless if you're down 0-2 coming back to Philadelphia for game 3 against the Brewers. I don't care. I want to get in there. I want to have some fun. I want rally towels back. I want the excitement and the buzz back, because we don't know what to expect with the Eagles this year, right? I mean, like, that first month is a gauntlet, Jigsaw, for the Birds. That's a gauntlet, man. I mean, like, they go from on the road in Atlanta, the Niners are here for the home opener, then Monday Night Football against Dallas, and then our last game of the regular season for the Phillies is October 3rd in Miami. You know who's here playing the Birds that day? Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. I'll tell you what, things could get pretty nasty in September for the Birds and the beginning of October. So it'd be great to have some Phillies playoffs to talk about.
It's going to be exciting. If they get some confidence, man, you never know what can happen. There's a lot of veterans on that team, and they get confidence, and you got Harper. You start to get contagious. I don't know. Look, it sucks about the bullpen, right? I mean, it is what it is. Whatever Band-Aids they can pick up, the acquisition they made today may help, but I mean, you just don't know. People can get hot in the playoffs, and you never know. But it will be exciting 2 months, that's for sure.
Yeah, man, I'm with Chris. I want Rally Towels back. Bring it back to 2008, man. That was a scene, man. That was a scene, 100%. But Chris, let everybody know, man. I already told. I had your stuff alone. Let everybody know what's coming up next, what you got. Baseball, Green Legion Radio. Let them know where they can get you, man.
All right, so we record our radio show for Green Legion Radio. We record on Thursday nights from 6 to 8, so you guys can check that out, the Green Legion YouTube radio channel, or Green Legion on Facebook, or at Green Legion on Twitter, so you guys can chime in and interact with us. The recording of the show plays from 1 to 3 on Saturdays on 102.5 Fox Sports The Gambler, or download the iHeartRadio app, search Fox Sports The Gambler, and then you guys can get any old shows of ours, or by searching for Green Legion Radio, or you got to search for Baseball Brunch. It's underneath its own separate thing because it has its own show. My show with Greg Murphy airs live every Sunday from 11 to noon. Home games through the rest of the season, we will be at 1100 Social at Xfinity Live. Come on down and hang out with us. We have a sponsored Bud Light Baseball Brunch tailgate on August 15th. Murph, Quimby, myself, we are working on getting more so Murph, because Murph has all the pool, but we are working on getting a former Philly great out there. So if you go to greenlegion.com, it's a $60 ticket. All you can eat, all you can drink from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Bud Light products, Bud Light Seltzer, Stateside Vodka, Michelob Ultra. Come on out and hang out with us. We're going to have a great player there. We'll try and get that situated by this Sunday so we can promote it. So I'll keep you guys posted on that. But it's going to be a lot of fun. So make sure you guys come on out and hang out with us. Murph is always pleasant with the fans. Takes pictures with them. Some people actually want a picture with me. I have no idea what the hell you're thinking. But
I'd say the same thing about me.
It's great, Mikey, because the Quimby at the beginning of the season, he's like, oh, you guys will be down there amongst the fans. You guys can take photos and sign autographs. I'm like, who the hell wants my autograph? It's just like, Murph, I get it. Me, I'm just some random Larry that got lucky to have a show with Murph. So, but make sure you guys check us out, man. We have a lot of fun. We talk baseball. We talk Phillies for the first segment. I normally my second segment's my love child, but we give away. We have 6 picks that we give away for every Sunday's action. And can you believe it segment? It's a lot of fun. It's a great show. I think it's the best baseball show in the city. So if you're not listening to us, you're not doing it right. So make sure you guys check us out.
Good stuff. Check him out. Check him out.
I love it. You're way too modest, brother. You're way too modest. You do a great job, man. I love having you as part of the Fox Sports family. I love it, man. There's a lot of great talent, and you Green Legion guys are the man. Even Diaz, Diaz, it is what it is. Maybe we'll get you and Diaz. We'll do a little, before the season starts for basketball with the little NBA preview show. We'll all 4 of us go quad box, and you can see Jigsaw versus Skittles live in action, because that's always a good show.
He said something about the 10%ers.
Yes, he keeps label. Here's the thing: we have 2 different meanings of that. For him, the 10%ers club is I'm 90% wrong and only 10% right. For me, I'm 10% right, and I'm 90% right and 10% wrong. I'll take 10%ers all day long. So that's what it is. But Chris, thanks so much, man. And enjoy your trip. Okay, enjoy your time away. And again, Baseball Brunch, you're doing a tremendous job. It's a great show. I appreciate you hopping on, and you got to get on again, man, real soon.
Have a great flight, man. Have a great flight. Remember, even if it's delayed again, you're going somewhere really nice. Who cares? Don't worry.
The best part is you don't have to worry about coming back with any luggage, if you know what I'm saying. We're all wrapped up. We got 2 kids. We're out the door. So
just say COVID. That's the excuse for everything. Sorry, COVID.
Jigsaw, Mikey, pleasure is mine. Thank you guys for having me. Have a great rest of your show.
Pleasure,
as always, man. Thanks, brother. Man, Chris Sack, my man, checking it. I'll tell you, Mike. I love. He's so passionate, man. Which I love it. I love it. What an honor, man. I'm jealous. He gets to do a show every Sunday with the great Greg Murphy. Greg Murphy's smooth as hell, man. He really is. Greg Murphy's smooth.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he is. Dave checking great. Yeah, Dave, he is, man. Sack's the man. I've been wanting to get Sack on this program for a while, man. Me and him would go back and forth against Diaz on Green Legion, so it was good to get him out. I got to get him more involved, even more. But
look, he was flowing, man. I mean, look, you just let him go. I mean, everything that he said represents the frustrations of the Philadelphia fan, right? Now, obviously, he goes way deep, and obviously, he's way knowledgeable, right? But I feel like a lot of Philly fans just know their stuff. I mean, we usually we come to the table and we know what we're talking about. But some of those names he was bringing up, dude, he had like 3 or 4 that we missed from the stiff list.
Oh, Pat Neshek.
Wow. When's the last time you heard that name?
Pat Neshek. And great. He made a great point. Yeah. And you both did, because you said window dressing, and he made a great point about the All-Star game as well, because remember, there was a rule that, even if you were the worst team in the league, you had to have one representative. So even if your team was full of stiffs, you better send somebody to the All-Star game, right? It's like the Pat Neshek rule. So there's Pat Neshek.
It should be the Pat Neshek rule. From now on, we should just rename it the Pat Neshek rule.
I love it, man. You know what we got to do for next week or one of the upcoming weeks? We got to go look, search back. I would have the all-time all-star stiff list.
That's a good one.
Stiffs made the all because I'll give you one right now.
Here we go.
You know how I am, and it's only because I got this memory. I don't know what year it was. Bo Jackson hit a home run off of this guy in an all-star game. When Bo was on the Royals, he hit the straightaway center. Dude name was Rick Russell. Remember Rick Russell?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Rick Russell. You talk about a stiff for the job. Yo, he started an all-star game. Rick Russell.
When? We got to.
It had to be. I'm gonna guess it was like 91, maybe 92. Like it was. We got to Google that and find out. But Rick Russell was a star, and Bo Jackson hit a home run right off of the straightaway center field in an all-star game. So yeah, we got to do the all-star stiff list.
All-star stiff list for next week.
Definitely,
absolutely need to do that, man. I never would have guessed that Rick Russell was in an all-star game.
Yes,
never.
Rick Russell. Yes, and Dave said true Philadelphia fans do know their sports fact. Everybody commented, man. I'm sorry. I just wanted to. I want to let Chris flow. We only got about 10 minutes left of the show anyway, but I wanted him to be able to get all his stuff in. He was nice enough to give us his time, so like we do it with all guests. But Nick, our man Nicky Nuts checking in for the Flyer Nice Pod. I know Nicky's happy with all those Flyers moves, and Mike, we're gonna get Chris back on. He's good with football too, man. I like to get him. We'll bypass the Eagles tonight. We're gonna go right to music, but we'll maybe next week or the week after that we'll schedule it up and we'll get them on.
Real quick, let's just talk. Let's just do 1 minute. Let me just throw in because I was curious and I saved this for you. What's Jalen Hurts thinking with all the Deshaun Watson talk?
Listen,
real quick. It's just 2 minutes. Just give me the
2 minutes. What I will say is it's disgraceful. In my opinion, only because we talked about this kid before in nauseum about how he's faced adversity through his entire career. And you know what? Honestly, Mike, maybe he likes it. I don't know. But I think it's ridiculous that, number one, you already hear the talks about how he was only drafted to be a backup. And number two, he had to sit behind Carson Wentz. And number three, now you're talking about, again, you won't even anoint the kid the starter. You're talking about a guy who's got 24 chicks lined up. Okay, saying that he did something with them that was illegal. I don't know, and you're still not getting the title.
Something did something illegal. Oh, something. I don't even know if you're familiar with that story, but it's bizarre.
No, I don't want to get into it.
It's totally bizarre. Let's just go in the music. But anyway, all right. So I kind of figured that you thought that way. I mean,
what do you think?
I don't know. I just think he wants to come out. He's got something to prove, and he's just balling. And it's just like now I even read a report that the Eagles should wait and try to trade for Aaron Rodgers. I don't know. He sees this shit too, man. I feel bad for the guy.
So do I.
Give him a shot.
I'll be honest with you. I'm rooting for him.
Yeah, give him a shot.
I agree. What do we got to lose?
Exactly. Really, with that team. I mean, and again, I do feel that they're going to be better than what people think. All right,
so do I.
It's a weak division. It's a pretty easy schedule, but I think we're going to see some flashes of brilliance from people. I think we're going to be pretty happy with what we see. I really believe that. But the kid shouldn't go into the starting year with a quarterback cloud, or it's not even a controversy yet, not even a full-blown controversy, but still, it's ridiculous. Man.
It's ridiculous.
Come on.
No, I completely agree.
Yeah, I thought so. All right, so we'll shelf that for next week. Get Chris back on, and we'll just roast the Eagles for the whole show.
I'm with it. Yeah, we'll roast Howie. We'll throw up pictures. We'll have some fun.
Yeah,
but speaking of going from disrespect to respect, okay, like we do, we every week. Last week it was Cypress Hill, and again this week we're going to go into the music sector a little bit. And I'll tell you what, today I post on the Heat Ratio Sports social page. Today, Mike, was the second album release of the Smashing Pumpkins with the hit Today, which it was a very familiar tune, right? A great song, in my opinion. But as I was looking through the music sectors, there was a Can't Knock the Hustle reference to the one and only Jay-Z. And there was a lot of Jay-Z talk over the last couple of weeks. There was a couple anniversaries of his albums. There was a lot of talk just about rap in general, about hip hop. So I want to highlight the great Jay-Z. In my opinion, the GOAT. And that'll be a topic for another day because we'll get into GOATs, MCs, GOATs when we talk about lyricists because there are a lot. And the opinion differs from everyone, which I love. But tonight, just want to focus on our man Jay-Z.
Okay.
Just want to focus on Jay-Z. And I want to talk about a top 5 playlist that you would have for Jay-Z on Spotify or Pandora or YouTube, wherever you feel. Okay, because Jay-Z has had tons of hits with many different collaborations, but some of them are through the roof insane. And I am a huge Jay-Z guy. Jay-Z is on every single one of my playlists. So I just want to talk about top five songs that would be on your Jay-Z playlist. And what we can do is, we can go from the bottom to the top, whatever you want to do. But I'm curious, Mike, because you are a hip hop pioneer fan, just like myself. And I know you like Jay-Z. Don't know if you think he's the GOAT, but your top 5 Jay-Z hits, what do you got starting from, say, 5 to 1?
Oh, man. There's just so many of them.
I know
it's so hard to try to rank.
Or even if you just want to say what's your top, I mean, one of your favorite jams from Jay-Z.
I mean, look, you gotta look at Heart of the City because the Blueprint was an amazing album.
Great beat too.
I can't put this in any particular order.
Okay.
Because I can go to the Watch the Throne album with Kanye and pick off 4 or 5 of them out of there. If you just want to go straight Jay-Z, you definitely have to say Heart of the City. You got to say Can't Knock the Hustle because you got to. I think Reasonable Doubt was his best album. But then again, that was the time when I was younger. I was more of a kid, and that album was great. But then you got the Blueprint that came out, and then the Black Album. There's so many of them, man. I mean, how do you even rank any? But I would say Heart of the City for sure. Story of OJ, top 5. 444. I don't know if you're on that or not. Big Pimpin' for sure. Big Pimpin'. There was one he did with Beanie Sigel, and I cannot remember the name of it. That's during that whole state property reign. I forget. They had a couple of really good ones in there.
They did.
And Big Pimpin', I believe, was when the Neptunes came in and start laying beats down for Jay-Z because then Jay-Z's sound completely changed.
Completely.
Yeah, so I don't know if you're obviously you're aware of that, but when the Neptunes came in, he had an entirely different sound. Okay, and then when Kanye started laying down his beats, then then it was in that like 2000, early 2000s, mid 2000s. That's when the whole Beanie Sigel state property thing started. So then his sound changed too. He was like in the middle of his production. It was Kanye and it was the Neptunes, and I feel like every time the music evolved, Jay-Z of his lyrics have evolved as well. So Empire State of Mind obviously is a favorite of mine, believe it or not. And I know it was the theme song when the Yankees beat the Phillies in the World Series in 2009. They pumped that song constantly, and it really pissed me off. But the song is still great. Reservoir Dogs and the American Gangster one, which was Andre just brought that up. Which one? What was the name of that? Was it Ignorant Shit or something like that? The entire American Gangster soundtrack. Yeah. You're right. No. I'm Andre. I mentioned Ignorant Shit from American Gangster. I couldn't remember the other 2 or 3 of them, but that entire soundtrack was insane. Now, again, I went over. You told me top 5. I named 7 albums, and I probably named like 15 tracks. Is he the GOAT? Arguably, I guess you could say that he is. Me personally, I think it's Biggie, but you can intertwine between Biggie, Nas, and Jay-Z any day of the week and twice on Sunday.
Well, speaking of Biggie, though, I'm surprised you didn't mention Brooklyn's Finest, which is only Can't Knock, right?
I just forgot about it.
Right, but again, because he has so many, right?
Yeah.
Listen, the collaborations, Mike, were unbelievable. Like you to me, I'm with you. Reasonable Doubt, say what you want, whether it be the Sean Carter Volume 1, 2, or 3, whether Blueprint 1, 2, 3, doesn't matter. To me, it Can't Knock the Hustle was an unbelievable from beginning to end. And to hear Mary J, the sultry sound of Mary J. People forget Mary J. Blige, back the hip hop or the R&B legend herself, man, on that album, right? And then you mentioned Empire State of Mind with Alicia Keys. This man has not only is married to Beyonce and has been slinging with Beyonce in a sense of collaboration, but now you got Mary J. Blige, and Alicia Keys. It just shows that you're the GOAT. But I agree with Can't Knock the Hustle. To me is my favorite Jay-Z song whatsoever. 100%. Andre checking in with another good one off the Biggie soundtrack. The Biggie Life After Death. Love the Dope. Great song. Right?
One of my favorite songs.
Again, Brooklyn's Fives. Here's another one. Speaking of sultry women, how about Run This Talent, Rihanna? Right? I mean, are you kidding? Yeah. Like, it's like, I mean, there's so many Jay-Z great songs, man. I love the Hard Knock Life. I love the Annie sound. I love the Annie sound. It's a Hard Knock Life. I love it. I just, you're a rapper, right? And you've mixed in the sound of a what do they call that? A soundstage show, like a playwright show. I'm not a big, but you literally mix that into a rap song, man. Like, that just shows you how good you really are. So,
no question. The artistic talent beyond those collaborations are pretty amazing. What about the one he did with Drake, Pound Cake?
And that's a newer one.
Exactly.
Because remember, he retired, right?
Yeah,
remember,
right,
Jay-Z,
right.
and then he came back.
Exactly. So,
and he didn't miss a beat. There's another one.
What was his last album?
Off your shoulder, right? Dust your shoulder off.
That was a Neptune's beat.
Yep.
The Neptunes had that same familiar sound. They changed hip hop. When they came in, their sound sounded completely different. What was that one that he did on that album? Which one was it? Picasso? When he did do you remember the live version of Picasso?
The live version of Picasso.
Yeah, they did it where he was in this art museum and he had a bunch of people in there. And he was just going up and he just did a freestyle. He sung the song Picasso just to everybody. You never saw that video? It was insane. He did stuff that nobody did.
Wow.
I forget what it is, man. I know you've seen it before, but it was on an HBO special. It was pretty big.
I just remember, every time, like I get in these zones, man. Like I love YouTube, Yeah. Like I start searching concerts, live events, and I could just go back and watch what was it, the Fade to Black tour? Was it the movie? Fade to Black was unbelievable, right? I mean, it was just everything he's done, man. The La Familia album, right? I mean, I think that was a Neptune's beat. From the Can I Get a from the Rush Hour soundtrack, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like I mean, everything he did. He's a legend, man. He's a legend.
It was the Magna Carta album. We didn't even talk about that. We didn't even talk about that. Picasso, baby. And he did that live. He did that live shoot in that art museum. You see that? Check the video out. I know you've seen it before.
I'll be looking at that tonight.
But it was amazing. But what about that album? Nobody even talks about that. When you think about the best albums, you just forget about it because he did so many things. It's like where do you rank them? Where do they start? Where they begin? I mean, he arguably can be called the GOAT, and Biggie didn't have enough work to be able to really be called the GOAT.
I think that's what. Yes, that's why.
But Nas
just
did.
That.
Yep, Nas had a ton.
Nas doesn't get enough love, in my opinion, man.
Nope.
And has the best stage name ever in Belly as Sincere. That is the best name.
That's not the first time you mentioned that. You brought that up. You brought that up before at a previous.
I know, because it's always like I love that Sincere. I love it.
What was T-Boz's name in that?
Dave checking in with Dead Presidents. Dead Presidents that represent me. That's
that was a Nas sample. He sampled that from Nas.
Yes, that's right.
That was a sample from Illmatic. Remember when they had that beef when Nas and Jay-Z? They had that beef. Remember, it was like something happened at that Hot 97 tour. They were beefing hard.
Then he came out with that song Ether. Remember, was that?
That was. I think that was after, but I don't.
That was back with all the beefs, man. There was always. Remember, Cannabis was beefing with LL. Remember that? Cannabis. Second round knockout.
We should just dedicate a portion of the show for old school hip hop beats. There was a lot of beefs back then.
There was a lot.
There was remember Tim Dog?
Yeah, I remember Tim Dog.
You remember Tim Dog, right? And DJ Quick. Tim Dog had a problem with DJ Quick. There's like these like small little hidden beefs that I think everybody forgot about back in, because even like the beefs today. Like when Drake beefed with Meek Mill, I mean, it was a beef, but it was just like
it was weak.
It was a weak beef, It wasn't a Tupac Biggie hit him up beef.
Nah,
Those were way better.
Dave says the good ones, days when rap was rap. You're right. When rap was rap, man. Rap is not rap today. And that's the thing.
Oh, no.
Rap and hip hop are two different things, man.
Are they? Are we
I
just
think they are.
We like, or me, you and Dave are like, get the F off my lawn. It's not like it was back in the old days. We say that all the time. I say that to my son and my wife all the time.
Yeah, well,
Maybe
it's true. It's true because to me, back in the day, like a rapper was Ice-T. A rapper was Boogie Down Productions, right? A rapper was Chuck D, right? They weren't hip hop. Hip hop started with guys like or groups like the Lost Boys were like hip hop, right? Lost Boys, listen, they don't get enough respect. They don't get enough respect at all, man. Let me tell you something, because the KRS-One was a rapper. He wasn't hip hop. He was a rapper, right? Mos Def is a rapper. He's not hip hop, right?
That's a guy that doesn't get enough respect. He doesn't get enough respect.
Oh, Mos Def? No, not at all. No pun intended, but most definitely does not get enough respect.
No.
Does not get enough respect. But look, we could go on all day. We got to get off because our man Chris is coming on in 2 minutes talking some PGA bets with my man Sia from Win Daily. So, keep it locked here on the YouTube Sports Network, because right after this, in 2 minutes, we're going to get you down to all the sports betting when it comes to the PGA Tour. So keep it locked in. Our man Dave checking in, and we're going to cover this next week. I think next week, Mike, we're just going to do a show based on rap versus hip hop. And David says,
right.
Cool, LL Cool J, Run DMC, Beastie. Exactly. Like LL was hip hop. Run DMC was rap. Like, I think there's a complete difference between the two. I really do.
It's an interesting dynamic. We should dedicate a good portion of the show to it.
Yeah,
because we can talk about this forever.
Yeah, we definitely. But everybody checking in, appreciate it as always. Follow at Heat Ratio Sports on all social formats. Obviously, subscribe to the YouTube page. Get entered into our Yingling contest for a win a free Phillies prize pack. Got some interesting things coming up for anybody that's in the Bucks County, PA area. We will be doing live shows at local venues starting in September for football season. So keep an eye out for those events as well. And as always, like I say, everybody stay safe, stay healthy. Mikey Googs for Tony J. Salcatillo. Okay, we'll catch you next week. And everybody have a blessed night.
Stay safe.